Hi everybody, this is Cindy from Ideas Times 2. Welcome back to our channel. Today I have a tutorial for you for a simple project using a file folder, as you might have guessed. I am currently working on a rather big project, a Jane Austen themed journal, and I wanted to make an insert for the journal. And so that's my plan for today, to make a simple little folder with a couple of pockets and using stuff that I already have printed out or that I have in my stash. So what you're going to need for this project: a standard file folder. This one is used. I take them from work when they're not, when we're done using them. And I'm going to use some coffee stained papers from some kits that I printed out, some Jane Austen kits to use to cover it. So you'll need some kind of paper. You can use cardstock, scrapbook paper, book pages, music sheets, whatever you have around, whatever is in your stash. And so you'll need some kind of paper, probably 4 or 5 sheets, depending on how you want to decorate. So you'll need that, your basic supplies, scissors, some kind of a measuring tool. I'm just using a standard ruler. You'll want your bone folder, glue. I'm going to be using tacky Fabri-Tac today, and because I want to do this in a vintage style, I'm going to use ink as well. So if you are going to want to age your file folder, grab your ink and dauber as well. And you will also need maybe a scoring tool, your paper cutter, just your basic supplies. Nothing too unusual, or nothing unusual at all. A simple project today because I want to just make an insert for this larger project I'm working on. So I'm going to grab my score board, and I'm going to score the bottom first. I'm going to put the tab and the open side up on the top, and I want the tab on the top on this one. It doesn't matter really. This is just my personal preference. And I'm going to score at the 8.5 inches from the left. That will give me a nice size pocket. And just make sure that your score line went all the way through both. If you need to, you can just flip it over and score again. I went through pretty well the first time around, and so the line will be right here, and this will give me some pockets. So I'm going to score again this direction, putting the folded side butted against the side of my scoreboard, and I'm going to score at 5.5. Well, I'm going to go 1 tick past the half mark, so 5.5 plus 1, if you're using inches. I've got a little crooked there. It's not. There we go, that's better. And so there's my score line right here. On the other side. Right here. Move this out of the way. And this is what you need your bone folder for. Make sure those edges are nice and crisp. And the same on the bottom. My pockets. All right, so there's our folds. The next thing you need to do is cut out this square, and on the other side, this square. So I'll grab my scissors, and I'm going to use the score marks as my guide. Cut across the top. On the pocket, I'm going to cut at a slight angle back towards the line, so you can see this is just a slight angle, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Just a slight angle, and across the top. And these are always handy to keep in your stash. They make, you can make flaps, use them for, to back, to make pockets, to, back cards or tags, but they're handy to keep around. So I'm going to add those to my stash. And make sure my angles will allow everything to fold neatly. Looks like I need to cut a little bit more on this side. So that's the reason we have to cut at an angle, so when the pockets are up, the sides will fold and lay flat. That's the basic construction. It's pretty much that easy. So the next thing I'm going to do is round my corners down here on the bottom, just to give them a little finished look. And then it's time to start decorating. So before we do that, kind of just to recap, sizes and measurements and all of that. This insert will be, should be 8.5 inches tall and about 5.5. It's a little more than 5.5 inches wide. And the journal that I'm going to put this in is 9 by 6 1/4, so this is a perfect size to go in there. So because I want this to be vintage, the first thing I'm going to do for the decorating is to ink my edges inside and out. So grab my ink, and I promise I'm not going to make you sit here and watch the whole thing, but I always like to make sure that everything is nice and inked before I start decorating, rather than waiting until I'm done and doing it last. Especially on the inside where you have to get into the folds and creases. So if you hang on just a second, I will be right back with the inking finished. All right, so done inking, I think. I don't think I missed any spots. So I inked the edges on the front, back, on the insides, on the flaps, on the folds, all the way around. So now it's really time to start decorating. And I have already cut my pieces from my papers, and I wanted this, in order to be consistent with the rest of the journal, I wanted to make sure that everything was sewn, so I sewed my edges. And this paper is about 5¼ inches wide and 6 inches long. I'm going to be gluing the pocket down, and I didn't want to waste paper, so you're not going to be able to see that. And then for my pockets, I have done the same thing here, and I'm just going to glue everything down using Fabri-Tac. You can use whatever glue you like. Glue sticks I think would be good for this project because there's so much gluing of papers. And you don't have to use glue. If you would prefer to use double-sided tape, that would be fine as well. Whatever you use and whatever you like as an adhesive is going to work just fine for this project. Because the integrity of the file folder doesn't need anything to strengthen it. It doesn't need a lot of reinforcements on the seams or anything like that. So it'll be fine with glue stick, with Fabri-Tac, Beacon 3-in-1. Excuse me. I'll probably be doing a little bit more embellishing, maybe adding some tags. I've got some Jane Austen quotes that I've printed out. But I'm going to, whatever embellishments I put on here, it's going to stay pretty flat. I don't want to add anything poofy or too three-dimensional, no silk flowers or anything like that, because I want it to go inside of a journal. So I don't want it, ruining any pages or anything like that. So I'm going to keep any embellishments pretty simple. That's my style anyway. I'm not, I don't like, journals with, too much lace and too much drippy things hanging from it. Nothing too fancy. I'm a plain girl. I like things pretty, but I don't like them overly done up. So I'm going to keep this pretty simple. And I used off-white an ecru thread for all the sewing. I usually use brown, but I didn't have enough brown thread to finish a tag, let alone an entire project. So I went with off-white. And the glue is just not coming out very well from this bottle right now. It's barely coming out. So either I've got a clog in there, or I have become measurably weaker since the last time I crafted, which wouldn't surprise me, quite frankly. I've not had a lot of time for crafting lately, between work and going to school. I just really don't have a lot of time right now, or emotional energy to craft. I feel like I kind of lost my mojo a little bit. I've lost my creativity just because I've been so busy. All my energy is going into other things. All right. Make sure that is well stuck down. I think I need a little bit more glue on the corner. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and just put a bead of glue on each side. And glue that down. Now, if you want to, you can cut between the pockets, and same thing, just do it at a slight, cut it at a slight angle, and then glue them down individually. I'm not going, obviously, I didn't do that. All right, so for the inside, also for the inside, I'm going to leave these, make these pockets. So I glued my paper to some paper bag, and I'm going to glue this down just along the three edges and leave it open as a pocket. I'm going to do that on both sides. You know, I want to be able to put a few things in here, so it's going to have 4 pockets, but I don't want it to be too big so it doesn't, you know, make the book bulge too much. I don't want that to be an issue. So I just glued the three edges, and then it leaves the side as a pocket. You know, if you are using you know, cardstock, obviously you wouldn't need to put another piece of paper underneath it, but since I'm using paper, I wanted it to have a little more heft so that it doesn't tear when putting things inside and taking it out of the pocket. Got a little glue there. Where's my glue eraser? There it is. Excuse my reach. Whoops. And then on the other side, I'm going to do the same thing. Leave this as a pocket. So I'm going to glue just the 3 sides and leave it open. I hope everybody is doing well. Today is a holiday, so there's no school today. And the weather is absolutely beautiful. I don't know how we got so lucky today. All right, so there's my inside. Like I said, I might do a little bit more embellishing, but I think it looks good. Oops, I must have, there we go, that's better. And then for the outside, I have pieces already cut and sewn, and ready to embellish. I think something like that. But I'm sure you don't want to watch me glue. So I'll probably be doing something like that for the outside, but there's another simple file folder project. We've got a pocket here, pocket on the other side, and then this nice big pocket on the inside. And I think it'll fit perfectly in the little journal that I'm working on. Well, not little, it's quite large. The Jane Austen journal that I'm working on. So that's it. Another simple idea. So thank you for joining me today. If you are not a subscriber, we would appreciate having you join our other subscribers. We're getting pretty close to 5,000, which has been a benchmark of ours for a long time, to get 5,000 subscribers. If you would want to receive notifications, just click on the bell, and love to hear from you. So if you would like to leave a comment, go ahead and comment below. You can find us on Instagram and on Facebook, and of course our Etsy shop, and I'll have the links for those below as well. So have a fantastic weekend, everybody. Happy Easter, happy Passover. We're also in the middle of Ramadan, and today's a Sikh holiday as well. So lots of holidays this weekend, but especially, have a blessed Easter. So bye-bye, everybody. Thank you for joining me today.